Hi guys, nice to meet you if you're new here. Nice to see you if you're not new here. How's it going? I'm Lara. You guys, it's almost the new year. It's almost 2025. So that means I'm gonna set a new TBR for the year. Did I follow last year's TBR? No. We're not gonna talk about that. New year, new books. Let's talk about 25 books that I want to read in 2025. Most of them sitting next to me. I have a couple of books that I don't currently own that I want to read in 2025. I guess let's just jump right into it. With the first book that I want to read, I want to finally read the next book in the Caraval trilogy. I read Once Upon a Broken Heart, which I know is second, but I read that first. I read the entire trilogy first, and then I picked up Caraval for a video I did at the beginning of the year. It was reading 200 pages a day. Something like that. And I read Caraval, 5-star. Loved it so much that I want to jump into the next book. Caraval is like a once a year performance that gets put on where the audience gets to participate. Scarlett, our main female character, and her sister Donatella live on this really small island and their dad's not super great to them. Scarlett's about to get married and they end up at Caraval in the game, where the objective of the game is to find her sister. The games are kind of crazy. I absolutely love the writing of Caraval. I loved the characters in it, and I really just want to get to Legendary. A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston. This is the only book that she currently has out that I haven't read. Our main character loves novels, and she ends up in her favorite novel story. She kind of just like jumps into the book. She's in their story. She thinks that she might be there to finish the story, but then there's this grumpy guy. I don't really know. I know that it has like the magical realism element to it, which all of her books have, and I really love that. I love the cover and I really want to get to it. Then another new release of 2024 that I didn't end up getting to, and I don't know why. I was so excited about the book, and then when it finally came out I kind of just like whatever, which is Daydream by Hannah Grace. It's a college romance. There's hockey in it, there's tutoring. She's his tutor from what I understand, and he is now the captain of the hockey team. Henry, we get so much of him in the other stories of the Maple Hills series. We get so much of his character and who he is, and I really just want to get to know Henry because he's also like, you get to know him, but he's also such a mystery in a way. I will be reading this book. I don't know why I've waited so long to read it, and I think it could possibly be my favorite. This next book is a book I read, I'm gonna say at least 25-30% of the book, and I felt like I couldn't get into it. But the story is very interesting. I just think I wasn't in the mood to read it, and it was the wrong time. Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. From what I remember about this story, we have Opal, our female main character, who is an orphan. She's also kind of the guardian of her brother. She's a high school dropout. Her brother's still in school, but she thinks that he could do so much more for himself. They're not doing super great. She starts having dreams about Starling House, which is this creepy house that nobody goes to, that everybody avoids. Don't talk about it, don't look at it, avoid it at all costs. She starts having dreams about it, and she just feels this gravitational pull to this house. Well, she ends up there, starts to make this extra cash that will help her and her brother escape this town. The house kind of seems alive in a way. These dreams maybe aren't dreams. The male main character, he's also in this house. Look, I still have a bookmark in there. I was on page 56, so way less than I thought I was. There's like illustrations in the book that are very beautiful. I think I would actually love this book, just wrong timing, so I would like to get to it. A book that I recently was just gifted, Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. It is very pretty. It's got sprayed edges. It's just super pretty. I remember when this book first came out and everybody was talking about it. Everybody was talking about how much they loved it. They loved the writing. They loved the author. But if fairies and monsters were real, so were the women who defended them. Part historical fantasy, part rivals to lovers, romance, part gothic mystery, this feminist fairy tale has captivated readers with its haunting, dreamlike atmosphere. A girl who's always believed in fairy tales, her favorite author, she has a chance to go to their home. She stumbles upon this boy who intends to prove that this author, who is her favorite author, a fraud. I more so want to read it because it's very gorgeous. And like I've said before, I judge a book by a cover, and I'm judging it. I want to read it solely for the cover. A book that was one of my book club picks for the year that I didn't end up getting to because we all know of my lovely book slump. Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. This was also, I think, on my 24 books in 2024. When I hear people talk about this book, I hear this is real enemies to lovers. A son destined to lead thrust suddenly into power. A legendary street thief leading a mission determined to prove herself. Dark secret that is a threat to the entire continent. When outlaw leader meets reformed thief, a cat and mouse game of false moves ensues, bringing them intimately together in a battle that may cost them their lives and their hearts. When I say I want to read a book this year, this book I need to read this year because it's been on my shelf for a couple years at this point, and each year I say I'm going to read it. This year I mean it. Hold me accountable to reading all of these books, if not most of the books. If I don't get to all of them, I'm looking at this pile of books, I really want to read all these books. A book that is newer to me that I haven't had for too long, The Love of My Afterlife by Christy Greenwood. I have talked about this book a couple times too, or added it to my TBR, I just haven't gotten to it, but it's newer. It only came out a couple months ago. When did it come out? July, so 6 months ago. This book is about a woman who recently died that ends up finding the one, but in the afterlife waiting room, which when I read that, I think of Beetlejuice. When they're in the little waiting room, they have to wait for their number to be called, and it's a really long number. That's what I think of. She finds the one there, and she gets a second chance at life and love, but she has to find him on Earth before her 10 days are up. A book I am disappointed that I didn't get to this year because I would like to read the first book again and then continue on with the series, but I just never got around to the first book. Blood Marked by Tracy Dion. I really wanted to read Legendborn again before I picked this book up, and I just didn't end up doing it. Yes, it should be Legendborn that I'm holding up because I want to read that first, but I really want to get to Blood Marked this year because Oathbound literally comes out in March, and I want to actually just read the entire series by the end of the year. So 3 books, but we're just gonna put them as one. I was so excited for Bloodmark to come out. Didn't end up reading it. Let's be honest, I probably won't read Legendborn before I read Bloodmarked. I'll probably listen to the audiobook because I find myself when I'm rereading a book, I'm just gonna re-listen to the audiobook. It's like a different experience when you listen to the audiobook when you're rereading a book. My point is, I would really love to get to Bloodmarked this year so I can also get to Oathbound. Ooh, this next one. I'm surprised I haven't picked up this book yet because I absolutely love another series by this author. I'm very surprised in myself that I haven't picked it up yet, which is, of course, This Woven Kingdom by Tahiti Mafi. I read the Shatter Me series. The series is widely loved, and I think either the 3rd or the 4th book just came out. I feel like it's the 4th book. I'm not positive, actually. It's the 3rd book. The 3rd book came out at the beginning of this year. I don't know if the series is over. I don't know anything about the series, which, like I said, very surprised. Shatter Me is a very loved series by me, myself, and I. So I'm just really surprised I haven't really picked up any of her other work, which I will be next year. I really want to read a series that so many other people love. It says, prepare to be destroyed. This one will wrench at your heart and make it pound, and in the end, it will leave you entirely speechless. This Woven Kingdom is a story of clashing empires, forbidden romance, and a long-forgotten queen who must claw her way through the darkness to reclaim her throne, rebuild her kingdom, and save her people from the half-lives they have been forced to live. As for a series that I really want to read in the new year, I'm only counting this as one book. I'm really hoping to get to it, and I plan on making a reading vlog about it, but I would like to read Divergent for the first time ever. I've never read Divergent. Have I seen the movies? Of course, but I've never read them. And I've had these for quite a bit as well. I bought these secondhand probably like 2 years ago, I would say, and I've just never gotten to them. I don't know why. What's holding me back? What's holding me back? I don't know if you've been seeing the videos of like the worst books I've read this year, the best books I've read this year, worst book I read this month versus the best book I read this month, whatever. This next book was on quite a bit of those, but it was like 50-50, best book, worst book. It is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I read Checkmate this year by Ali Hazelwood. It's the first book that I've actually read by her. I really enjoyed Checkmate. This one is obviously different. It's vampires and werewolves, and it's also an adult romance. The werewolves and the vampires do not get along. Marriage of convenience between mortal enemies. Interesting. A dark romance that I started this year and put down very quickly, just wasn't in the mood for it, was Butcher and Blackbird by Bren Weaver. The 3rd book comes out this next year. It's about 2 serial killers who kind of have this little game going on. Both the main characters in this story are serial killers who kill other serial killers, and they have an annual game where they come together, and I believe that they try and kill one serial killer, like who can kill them first. I'm not completely positive. I remember reading the first couple of chapters. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I've talked about this more recently, that I would like to get to this book in 2025. I have the second book and I will be buying the third book, and I've not even read the first book. Our main character, Emily Wilde, is a professor. She goes to the small town to learn more about fairies and she discovers dark magic, but her academic rival is there and he's kind of just like charming the small town, frustrating her. I'm excited to see like the tension between them while we're also learning more about like the fairies, and I've heard the writing in this book is very beautiful. Another book I am disappointed that I didn't get to this year is So Let Them Burn by Camilla Cole. This was one book that I was so excited to come out this year. It came out at the beginning of the year. I pre-ordered it and I still haven't picked it up. She was blessed with a gift from the gods, but what good is power if she can't save the person she loves most? Like I said, was super excited to get to this book this year. Didn't end up getting to it. Adding it to 2025 TBR. Then we have We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal, a story of our female main character who embarks on this journey to go find something, and the male main character goes on this journey to kill her. This one is a hefty one, and I've had it for years at this point, which is Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. Dragons, dragon riders, sorcery, sapphic, female main leaders. That is what I'm getting from this book, and that is enough. Heartless Hunters by Christine Cicerelli. It's following a witch and a witch hunter. Like, do you need to know more? Last physical book I have is a book that I need to read. Like, no choices, I have to read it. No ifs, ands, or buts when it comes to summertime, because this is a summery book. It is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This is the only Emily Henry book I own that I haven't read. It is also the first Emily Henry book that I ever bought. It has been on my shelf since I first started reading. And that's enough. Like, what even is the book about? People that we meet on vacation. Two best friends that went on vacation all the time together, and then something happens and they're not talking anymore. Those are all the physical books that I own that I want to read in 2025. The next 7 books that I want to read next year are either new releases, which I've already talked about in my last video, or they're just books that I don't physically own that I would love to get to in the new year. Starting with one I know I will read because I've already read some of it, which is Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillick. I read One Dark Window this year, 5-star read, absolutely loved it. And then I started Two Twisted Crowns. I only read about 30% of it, but I wasn't fully paying attention to the story, so I kind of just want to restart it. The next one I've also talked about previously, which is Anathema by Carrie Lake. It's a spellbinding gothic dark fantasy about a shunned woman who's forced beyond the mortal realm's forbidden boundary into a terrifying world of cursed souls and grotesque creatures. A story that I wanted to get to, and I just didn't end up reading it. Quickly talk about some series that I want to finish in the new year, which you'll be seeing those in videos. I want to finish the Gold Rush Ranch series. I'm on the 3rd book out of 4 books in the entire series. I would love to finish the series. That's it. Another series I want to continue reading, I don't think I'll finish it because it's quite long. It is the Addicted series. I think I've read the first 3 books, and then I started on the next Calloway book, because you read like the first 3 books in the Addicted series, then Calloway, and then you kind of just intertwine the series. Started Rose's book, I believe, and read 5% of it and put it down, just didn't pick it back up. Funny Story by Emily Henry, another Emily Henry book. From what I've gathered from other readers, this is their favorite Emily Henry book out of all of her books, which just means it's gonna be good. Then as for new books, which like I said, I have talked about these already, I have The Jessed Crown by Sarah Hisham, which is the 2nd book in the Scorched Throne duology. It comes out in July, and The Jessed Heir is the best book that I read this year, hands down. I'm just really excited for The Jessed Crown. On my 25 and 2025, I know I'll read it. Like, at least out of all these books, I will have 1 book read, because I will be reading that book. Actually 2, because the next book is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. I will absolutely be reading that book when it comes out, because if you don't know, Hunger Games is one of my favorite series ever, and this is Haymitch's story. So out of the 25 books I want to read in 2025, I will at least have 2 read. We're striving for 25, but 2, you know, that's okay. But we're striving for 25. Those are the 25 books that I want to read in 2025. Most of them are books that I currently own. Other ones are books that I can get on Kindle Unlimited, so I don't have to buy too many books, but I will be buying just a couple. I'm really hoping that next year is a good reading year for me. 2024 was not a good reading year. I think I might have one more video coming out this year. If it's not this year, it'll be the first of next year. I've been working on it for a little bit, and I'm still working on it. It is a reading blog, just in case you were wondering. What are some books that you want to read in 2025? Maybe some books that are on my 2025 TBR, or just tell me a couple books that you want to read. Other than that, I hopefully will see you next time. Bye! Thanks for watching.